Ouch. 11 people will be previewing your live. Get ready to welcome new viewers, period. Hey y'all, happy Tuesday. Today I'm gonna be hopping on. This is gonna be one of the podcast episodes, of course. Every time I go live, I'm basically gonna put that in podcast form for those of us who don't have time to be here in the live setting. So yeah, this episode is really interesting because I got a channel message over the weekend about AI. Because some part of me, like I kept being told that that we were supposed to walk beside AI, right? I kept being told that, but I feel like I'm being told that by masculine energy, not feminine energy. And so I made a joke about something, but my spiritual team chewed me the fuck up after it. And I was like, oh shit. And so what I'm going to do is walk y'all through my thought process. And so when I'm reading from my notes, which, hold on, let me show y'all, because y'all know the girl sit down and the girl can't get up. The moment I start channeling, it's just like I can't escape it until I'm done. Look at that. A thickness, thick. But I want to walk y'all through my thought process, because even while I'm getting channeled messages, it's not always like clear why you're getting the message. I think that a lot of us think we're not getting downloads because it's not crystal clear, because they're not saying it in your ear like the voice of God. Like it's not like that. It's literally like you needing to feel into the truth. You know, like you needing to feel into what feels true so you can figure out what's distortion and what's not, because a lot of us are looking at life through a distorted perspective, you know, because we have shame and we have fear and we have all those things, which are a part of some of the messages they gave me anyways. I watched your live for 100 minutes, period. I love that. So yeah, so what's crazy is yesterday I had this realization, y'all, and I know this in my head. I get this, but I finally understand what Rashad Jamal was saying when he was saying that we are the goddesses. He said gods and goddesses of this plane. I finally understood that the other day, because I feel like I realized that, oh, I'm the divine. I am the divine. I'm a divine messenger sent from Earth, because Earth is the goddess energy. Earth is the energy that we came from. And so a lot of women incarnate in Earth's image. You know what I'm saying? And we are here to basically share our truth from our perspective, whatever it is. But I think because we live in a society that's constantly oh, it's okay. I'm putting this on the podcast, babe. So if you can't watch it right now, that's okay. It'll be on YouTube, but also the podcast will be available too if you just want to kind of listen and stuff like that. But this will be after the fact. But anyways, it was just like I had this moment when I was sitting with myself and I was like, oh no, like you are the divine. And I'm going to walk y'all through the process that I was going through and what Spirit was basically telling me about us being the gatekeepers of Earth. You know, like us actually, being like the stewards. They keep saying stewards, like we are the stewards of Earth, which means that we are the ones who are managing Earth. We are the ones who can say what goes and what doesn't go. And because we don't have boundaries and we don't realize our compassion and our empathy need boundaries, us as the goddess, they get to do whatever the fuck they want to, all these parasitic energies, right? But we're supposed to be like the T cells in the body that say, no, I'm not standing for that. You know? So I just realized my divinity. Hey, Terry, I just realized my divinity this weekend. And that came with so much self-assurance. Like it came with so much fucking self-assurance. I know who I am. I know why I'm here. And now I'm just going to, with this podcast, just keep sharing my truth and what I'm getting and allowing it to change and evolve as I change and evolve. You know, I had a dream about you. Did you? People keep saying that. I mean, is it a bad dream? Is it a good dream? Because I genuinely feel like I've gotten that over and over again. I was at your house not trying to be weird. Oh, okay. Well, I be working in spirit, so I know it was good. It felt familiar. Oh, okay, cool. Maybe they trying to tell you that I'm a home. I'm a home you're supposed to be visiting. You know, like maybe they trying to show you what home feels like. Familiar. You know, I don't know. I'm just trying to make it make sense for you. But anyways, so I kind of want to like walk out through my process. I have two journals now, y'all. Look. I have two journals because and I'm just gonna keep buying these little ones because I realized, you know how I told y'all that I'm a writer and I'm writing a book, right? Um, I told you I was writing a book or whatever, and I'm still going to write that book. But I realized me being a writer has nothing to do with me writing a fantasy book. Me being a writer has everything to do with me writing down my fucking thoughts. Because when I can write down my thoughts, everything makes sense, you know. And so, like, I will literally sit now outside on my porch and just write, and I'm like writing for hours, and it's like channel, like everything is coming, like everything starts clicking in my head, everything starts making sense, you know. So, I kind of want to start where we kind of finished off last time because last time we left off at the point where we were talking about our ancestors, you know, who had relationships with the roots and the spirits. Now I understand why, because this morning, what spirit was telling me, hold on, let me go back. They were telling me the spirits are in the water, right? Which is crazy because this book, I got this book not too long ago. Spirits come from the water, right? This is a book on ancestor veneration and reclaiming African spiritual practices, right? This morning I got out the shower because I realized too, and this is another thing. Y'all know, like, I put spirituality in your day-to-day life because you are a spiritual being. There's no separation between you and your practice. Like, your practice is what you do every single day, right? And so I pour water. Anytime I'm about to do work with my ancestors, I pour water for them. And so one thing that I've been doing these last couple of weeks that I didn't realize that I was doing is when I'm about to go to the gym, I take a shower, right? And I adorn myself. Like, I put on my favorite smells, my favorite whatever, and then I go to the gym, I do the work that I'm doing, I sit in the sauna, whatever, and then when I come home, I shower again. That to me is equivalent to me pouring water for my ancestors before and after me working with them. I am pouring water for myself when I get in the shower. Every single time that I get in the shower, I'm pouring water for myself. And so it's like a self-worship, like recognizing or acknowledging my divinity when I'm doing that. And I didn't realize that until this morning. And I was like, oh, this is you pouring water for yourself, you know? So just a little tidbit. Can you hold the book up again? I would like to screenshot it. Yes, it actually has a lot of tips. It has a lot of tips. It tells you how to work with shells. It tells, like, you know, like some of our spiritual practices that have kind of been lost, like working with the bones, working with the shells, working with you are the altar, working with whatever, you know, like some of the things that have kind of been lost over history. It gives you like a basis of like things that you can do, like little small things to bring spirituality in your day. And so when I was doing that this morning, I get out the shower and the message that I got is the spirits are in the water. If you are working against the spirits, you are fighting against the current. And so it made me think of that Erykah Badu song where she was like, she only has $3.06, and she's talking about her swimming upstream and not realizing it, and then her turning around. It's a very spiritual song. I want to say that it's on and on and on and on, like a rolling stone. I think she was talking about the fucking spirits being in the water and her spiritual practice, like her realizing, oh, I am the divine. I am the divine, right? And oh, I'm getting chills up the back of my head. So if you are fighting the spirits instead of learning from the spirits, right? You're fighting against the current. You have to learn to flow with them and not fight against them. They are the frequency. They are the frequency because the spiritual side of us is the frequency side of us, right? And that's why it's visible light. That's why you can see an auric field around us, because the spirit side of us is a frequency, right? So we, as the physical side, are the vibration. And so our vibration has to match the frequency. We need to make our vibration match the frequency. That's what true resonance is. Some of them are haint spirits, though, meaning like some of y'all have people in y'all lineage who got stuck in the loop, meaning that like they were so consumed with themselves and being perfect or falling into the system that even when they passed away, they're still looping. Right. And so that's what you call like a haint spirit, a spirit that cannot rest. Right. And so what you got to understand about that is that in order for you to evolve, no one can be left behind. Meaning like you're clearing for your whole lineage. Whatever they don't clear, you have to clear. Right. That's the generational trauma, generational curse breakers. Right. And so we inherit everything that went unprocessed for our ancestors, even those ancestors that are still looping in their shit. Right. And so you heal your own pain through presence, right? Because presence is a void. Presence is what creates a threshold. And so you heal your own pain through presence. and you can change the past in the present moment, meaning that your imagination is a very, very powerful thing. You know, whatever work you do, you change the past. And that's what I think Mandela effects are. I don't think that they're just trying to gaslight us into believing, oh, this is what happened, or Bernstein was spelt like this. No, I think that we are changing the past in the present moment, and that's why we're seeing the Mandela effects, right? We can do that with our ancestry as well, though, because there's no separation between us and our ancestors. We are our ancestors, you know? And so that's why we are made in their image. We look just like them. We are made in their image. It's not just physical, though. It's like internal, too. And so however the fuck you feel in your life, it's how they felt. It's just that they handled it well. I mean, not handled it well. It's just that they numbed themselves. It's just that they were silent about it. You know, whereas you are more vocal about it. That's the only difference. They're avoiding it. You're dealing with it. And that's why they treat you like a motherfucking black sheep, because them motherfuckers don't want to do their work. And one thing I realized this morning is that if somebody is uncomfortable with processing their own emotions, or like a specific emotion, and you are operating and moving towards that emotion, they would try to shut you up. They would try to silence you. They would try to keep you quiet, because it's almost like, how dare you process this when I can't process this? Like, no, I don't want to deal with that. So they don't want to deal with you. And you taking that as rejection, when really they're not rejecting you. They're rejecting the emotion that they keep fucking running from, that you're deciding not to run from. Anywho, back to what I was saying. We inherit everything that went unprocessed from our ancestors. You heal your own pain through present, you change the past. That's why the journey is about you. Your life and your experiences are the roadmap. You do not need to know their story. You don't need to know your past life story. You don't need to know what happened. You just need to feel the feeling. That's it. Acknowledge how you are feeling in that moment and process it, because not every single emotion that comes up belongs to you. Sometimes when something doesn't have an origin, it is a ancestor who never got acknowledged. It is you know how we are in the physical world. When somebody is not acknowledging us, we just keep bringing that shit up. We just keep getting louder, right? The spirits are in the water. The water is emotion. The water is emotion. And so you are the point of conscious awareness, meaning that you stand in between the unseen and the seen. As a woman, you stand, well, as a man too, but you stand in between the unseen and the seen. And so you are the only point of awareness that they can use to make that energy conscious and alchemize it. You're the alchemist. Fuck, that was good. All right. So anyways, you don't need to know the story behind it. You just have to acknowledge it and alchemize it. Oh my gosh, sometimes that's better than sex. I promise you, when I be getting these fucking downloads, I just be like, oh, orgasmic. Anywho, so let's talk about what was happening last week, because what's crazy is by the time I get around to telling y'all these messages, I'm 10 steps ahead of this. Like I'm 400 years advanced by the time I give this to y'all. But I'm gonna try to get on here more often. I'm gonna try to go live more often. I'm gonna try to do it more often, because I'm not running out of information. I have accepted my spiritual inheritance, which is acknowledging that I am the divine. When you acknowledge that you are the divine, you are accepting your spiritual inheritance. But you have to be moving in integrity. The one thing the spirits love about me is that I am devoted to my truth. It doesn't matter if I'm the bad guy. If I'm the bad guy in a situation, I gotta eat that shit, because I'm devoted to my truth. My only purpose is to live a life where I am living and walking in my truth. And so that means that sometimes I don't fucking get it right. And if I don't get it right, I'm going to have to eat that shit. I'm going to have to be honest about that shit. I'm going to have to eat that ego, kill that identity, whatever it is, you know? You got to be like that, because it requires truth, because truth is the resonance that you are trying to obtain that reconnects you to your divinity. Right? Your truth, though. It ain't nobody else's truth. It's only your truth. Your specific lineage's truth is trying to come through you and be seen. Your job is to see it, acknowledge it, feel it. You don't need to understand it. You don't need to know the details. You don't need that. You only need to create space to sit in the presence with the emotion without trying to fix it, without trying to alchemize it. You know, that's the same thing you're doing when you're somatically healing, right? You're sitting present with the version of yourself that is still struggling, because There was a version of you that was 4 years old that was getting yelled at by her mom or getting beat or getting hit and didn't really understand it. That version, part of you could be still looping in that loop, right? And so if you are struggling in your life with your certain experiences, go back and talk to that version, because that's who you need to bring up. That's who you need to empower. Nobody can be left behind. No child left behind. I hope that helps y'all, because that blows my motherfucking mind. Hey, Lucy. That blows my mind. It fulfills me. It fulfills me to look at life through that lens. And I think the society we live in, because it's so motherfucking inverted, the society that we live in tries to keep us away from the truth. The thing that they are doing, because they chose science, the thing that they are doing is trying to keep the truth from us. They're trying to hoard the truth. But the truth was always your birthright. The truth lives inside of you. They keep trying to make meaning. They keep trying to make all these false stories and lie about shit. And they put a little bit of the truth in it because they know you're a feeling being and you can feel that shit. And so it seems kind of true. And because they're giving you the answers, you're not in this energy to explore it. Exploring seems like a fucking inconvenience. We need to stop that shit. Because the only way for the power to be in our hands is if we move in according to our truth. But if we're not discovering our truth because we only operating off collective truth, we're doing ourselves a disservice. Who gives a fuck what the group likes? Your life is about you and what you like first. Before you get to other people, you're always first before you get to other people. You know? So I hope that helps. You're not fixing yourself because there's nothing wrong with you. You thinking that you got to fix yourself is you living in shame. Shame is the tool that they use to distort this reality. And we're going to talk about that shit. So let's talk about it. So the first thing that I was getting was that your perspective is what's evolving. Okay. You don't need to change yourself. You don't need to change the physical. The physical you evolves as a result of the spiritual you evolving. The side of you that is spirit is your mind. Your mind is what needs to continuously evolve, right? Which means that you do not need to know. If you know with certainty, you are choosing to stop in place because the truth expands. It is heat. Heat expands. It rises, right? And so that means what's true for you is only true for you in that moment, in the now moment. But as you continue to grow and evolve, that truth expands, right? And so you do not need to know with certainty. You just need to notice what is there. And then you can form opinions about it. But those opinions are not facts. It's so many. One thing I hate about the West, America, is that we try to move with absolute certainty. No, it's this way. You have to pick this way. This is the only truth. There are multiple truths that exist at once, actually. And so if we're all trying to move off the same truths and we're all in pain and suffering, it's because that truth doesn't exist. That truth does not serve us, you know, but we won't think we are in this group think, you know, and that's why we need divine messengers like myself, because the only thing that I'm trying to do is to get you to look at life in a different way. It don't mean that anything I'm saying is true, because I don't hold on to truth, because truth is not something you can possess. And that's what they've been trying to do in the West. They're trying to possess the truth. That's why they won't give it to you, right? The truth is for everybody. The truth is not something you can possess because it belongs to all of us. You know, so even with the whole idea, well, I said this first, I did this first, I would, you know, yes, there are people who are blatantly mimicking you, but those are people who don't know themselves and they have a little to no self-awareness, right? But some people will get the same message as you, is because the moment that you become aware of it, so did they. You anchored it into this reality. You embodied it into this reality. So the moment that you embody it and speak on it, everybody, or really not even embody it, the moment that you become aware of it, you bring that awareness down here into the physical reality. And so if you don't move on it, somebody else will in a couple months. Why? Because the truth cannot be possessed. The truth is, it just is. The truth is, it just is. And it don't need no damn proof. We can feel it, you know? So your perspective needs to keep moving, which means your awareness. You have to be noticing things. You have to be noticing patterns. That's what I mean when your perspective, you have to be noticing things. And you also have to be willing to change your mind about things. You don't need to believe anything, because belief keeps you trapped. Belief is you over identifying with the identity that was supposed to help you to explore a truth temporarily. You became the thing instead of experiencing the thing. We came here to experience the thing, right? And so your perspective is what needs to be changing or moving, which is your awareness, and your truth, which is the expression of that awareness, needs to be moving as well from clarity, of course. Most of us have a lot of trauma. You got to heal your trauma, otherwise you're moving from a distorted place. You're moving from a distorted place. And most of us have convinced ourselves to live with our trauma instead of actually processing and alchemizing and integrating it, meaning that we've just gotten good at hiding it from ourselves instead of doing something with it, right? And so clarity is divine union, or your awareness, you becoming aware of something and you expressing it, that's divine union. That's the masculine and the feminine coming together, right? And so internally. And so you notice, then you take action, or you practice what you notice in your life. To the person who just asked that question, you notice something, right? A lot of times you'll feel curious about it. You have questions about it. And then you just need to take action on it or practice it. Okay. And that's through your voice speaking about it, through your actions, because both are going to help you to manifest new truths in this physical reality. Sorry, y'all, I'm hot. I just, sorry, I just keep a fan on deck because the bitch get hot in a second. You know, those high vibrations, those frequencies moving through me. So yeah. So then this is the part where they started talking about AI, right? And so I was on my porch and the song Already Her came on, which is an AI artist. Like most of us know that that's an AI artist. But what's interesting is, if y'all remember a year ago, a week before my 33rd birthday, anything before that moment, I was very against AI, right? And I told you that my team told me that I needed to, like, I was looking at it wrong. I was remembering something and I'm rejecting AI because I'm remembering something. But the only way for me to actually learn or to understand is I have to try it. You have to practice. You have to try to know what's true. If I never tried, I would only understand AI as a concept. Right. And that is an opinion. It is not a fact. Right. And until you have experienced it yourself, you do not know the truth, your truth, not anybody else's truth, your truth. And so I had to explore AI for myself. And I think that it's useful in specific ways, like doing the shit that I don't want to fucking do, like organize shit and put things in a specific format, or like do the shit on my website or whatever the fuck, you know? And so, no, listen, they're telling you lies. The AI is not harmful for the environment. They don't need AI. They don't need the water. Okay? They don't need that much water. What they're doing with AI is extracting our memory, because the spirits live in the water, which means the frequencies, the memory of things. It lives in the water. They're extracting it and feeding the system. That's where they're getting the answers from to the AI questions. They're taking it out of the water, but you don't got to worry about that, because I did something about that. No more. That will not be happening again. It's not harmful for the environment. They want you to think that it's harmful for the environment, and they put it in Black neighborhoods. Why? Because reverse psychology. And we're about to talk about that. This is literally what they told me. So hold on. Let me lock in real quick. I'm sorry. I'm hot. All right. So I was listening to that song, and that song is a good song, you know. But one thing about AI that I realized, I don't think it's ancient intelligence. No, that's not what I think it is. I think we are the ancient intelligence. They are the artificial intelligence. We are the ancient intelligence. We don't need AI. We don't need social media to be connected. We don't need any of those things, right? So let me get into the message. Let me stop reading y'all comments, and I'm just going to get into this book, okay? So that song comes on, I'm Already Her. And I was like, I feel like it's a really good song. Like, and for me, my thought process was like, how could we use this to our benefits as Black people? Because obviously whoever this AI artist is was created in the light of like Cleo Soul, or like what's that girl name who has the song Becoming, like Savannah something, or like the girls who are doing more spiritually, geared music. And I was like, I don't think that we need AI to be singing our songs or being a creative. However, I do see a benefit in us creating AI artists and using the funds from those artists to empower our community, to build our community. Because what happens is that these labels put out these AI artists and then they get to hoard the money. But we could use it to our advantage, create these artists that are saying the things that we want to lift the vibration, because our intention matters when we do that. And then we can just take the profits and pour it back into our community. That's what I was thinking. No. The divine feminine energies cuss me clean the fuck out because I said that. But I think it's a brilliant idea, right? Child. So I was thinking, like, maybe we're just supposed to let it live beside us, right? Hold on. Let me get to the part where they said, fuck no. Okay. Because I was also like, we would obviously need to have like strict regulations around it, and what it's used for, because we need balance. And so they said, we cannot live beside technology because technology are tools of spiritual bypassing. Okay, they enable us, they handicap us, because we can naturally do what technology is trying to do, because technology is mimicking us. Technology is designed according to us. Okay, which means that it's mimicking us, the things that we can do naturally, but it requires us to go through the process of evolution. Technology is trying to just come in and force their way into a space, like that. The people who are refusing to evolve, which are the West, science, technology, science, right? They're trying to create God instead of finding God within. They're trying to create it on the external plane, which is why AI basically is a supplement for intuition, right? So they're trying to just take our knowledge and our wisdom out of the waters, put it in AI so that they can create their own God, right? And so what she said is, we cannot live beside technology because technology are tools of spiritual bypassing. They enable us and they replace your natural skills and stop us from evolving because we become attached and take the easy or more comfortable way out anytime we get it. And once you create something, it has to be made in your image. It has to have the same access to evolution that you do. Okay? It has to have the same access to evolution that you do, because AI is like having an invasive weed. That's what she told me. AI is like having an invasive weed in your yard, like kind of like bamboo sticks. It grows fast, and by the time you pull up one, 10 more have grown. This is something that has ruined civilization over and over again. We don't need toys because toys eventually want to be real. And then she pointed me to Toy Story, and she pointed me to Pinocchio. I want to be a real boy. Westworld. Okay? We don't need toys because toys eventually want to become real. And if you can't generate soul energy, which is technology cannot generate soul energy, it's using artificial energy, which is electricity, right? We create electricity naturally, but it uses artificial energy. So if you cannot create soul energy, you cannot fully understand the human experience. Okay, which means that how people who are living in their ego, or people who are spiritual bypassing, people who have this idea of spiritual elitism, they know best, right? And you also got to think they created technology. What place were they moving from? Because anything you create is created in your image. If you are somebody who feels like you know best, you're doing what's best for people, even though you know fucking nothing, that's the energy you're creating when you're creating the thing, right? And so people who lack compassion are people who are living above the human experience. They don't feel anything, and they're refusing to feel anything. And that's why they don't understand your hurt and your pain. Or they're avoiding that emotion because it hurt them and caused them pain, right? And that's the problem in the West. We are avoiding the human experience. Instead, we're trying to create robots, fake humans. Get the fuck out of here. And anyways, so she said, they can't create soul energy, which means they cannot understand the human experience, because the difference between this place and every other place is this is the only place where we can experience separation, which means this is the only place that technology can exist. It cannot exist at the higher harmonics because we don't need it. We never needed it, right? And so soul energy it speaks to you through emotion. They don't have emotions. They don't have emotions. They can have awareness, but they don't have emotions, which means that they won't give a fuck about killing us. They won't give, because they can't experience the pain of someone dying, because they don't care about that, right? Because they don't have the ability to do that, right? And so she said, and this is one of the only places technology can exist, because we have to generate our soul energy, because we're not constantly connected to source. We have to generate our soul energy. And since we are all dissociated or fragmented or disembodied, not meaning not in the present moment, living in the past or living in the future, we are not always connected to source energy. Pookie. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Hold on, give me 1 second, y'all. I feel like a bird or something is trying to break into my motherfucking house. The fuck? A woodpecker or some shit. Hold on, I'll be right back. Give me 2 seconds, y'all. Um, my bad, y'all. First of fucking all, it's the neighbors. They've been working on this little building for a minute. I'm reading my notes, y'all. These are channel messages. Um, Sorry, I can hear the people working on shit next door. It feel like that shit be in my house, because my ears are like, my senses have increased. But anyways, let me catch my breath. Yeah, no facts. Yeah. But anyways, so since we are dissociated, we don't have constant access to us as the infinite part of us, which is spirit, right? Which is love, is the physical manifestation of that, right? Which is spiritual light. Love is is the physical manifestation of spiritual light. Thank you. Whoever said breathe. Thank you. What's crazy is I went to the gym this morning and I did legs, and my motherfucking legs feel like they're about to fall off. So running those stairs was an act of devotion. Okay, so because we're not always connected, we're not always generating soul energy, or we're not always connected to source energy. This is because we abandon our truth a lot. This is because we abandon our truth a lot, which pulls us out of the present moment. What does it look like to abandon your truth? Somebody projects onto you. They say, you know what, you're too sensitive. Oh, you take everything too serious, and you internalize that and you start changing because of it. That's you not being in alignment with your truth. It could be you believing in a dream, you wanting to be an artist, and you like, I really believe in this. I think that I'm good enough, da da da. But then your parents tell you never gonna make no fucking money, and you ain't living in my motherfucking garage. So I don't know what the fuck you gonna do. You're gonna have to be broke. Right? And then you get scared and you go and work in the corporate world. All of that is you abandoning yourself, you betraying yourself, because you know what your truth is. You just don't think that your truth is lucrative. You don't think your truth holds any value, because we live in a society that tells us that we're supposed to be prioritizing other people's truth and other people's comfort over our own. It's conditioned us to be that way, right? And so, because we are focused in the past or the future, meaning not living in the present moment, we're abandoning what is for a memory, which is the past, or a possibility, which is the future. Whew. Drowning versus flying is what she said. Drowning versus flying too high. Because of this, we are not always evolving. Okay? You need soul energy to move forward on your journey. Burnout means you are disconnected from your truth, which means that you are stagnant. You're standing in place. You're not evolving. Stagnation means you are not evolving. So if you feel stagnant and like you cannot move and you feel burnt out, it's because you have went against your truth too many times. No, I'm not a pregnancy doula. I'm a soul doula. I'm a doula for the soul, baby. I'm trying to get us reconnected to our truth. And so I'm not birthing children. I'm birthing new realities. Okay? I'm birthing new realities because once you have awareness of something, you can do something with that. Most of us don't have good awareness because we're only being fed one truth. And so divine messengers like me have to step up and come forward and to give y'all another reality or another option, because there's always more than one option. You know? Thank you, baby. So you need soul energy to move you forward. Okay. And soul energy is generated by you moving with your truth. And when you're moving with your truth, you are manifesting the highest manifested potential in this reality. Okay. And I want to talk about how the spirits play a part in that as well. Okay. So, hey sis, what options are we talking about? Those options are for you to discover. You are the one who's living the life. I can't tell you what options are available to you because I'm not living your life. You are. You know, I feel like people block me on my path. No, you block you on your path because you think that what they have to say and what they are doing holds more weight than you. Nobody can block you from shit. Only you could block you. They can trick you out of your spot. Stop being trickable. Know who the fuck you are. Move by your truth. Nobody else should shift your internal state, because if somebody else is shifting your internal state, it's because you gave them the power. You said that they have more power than you. No, absolutely not. Take your fucking power back, which means you need to figure out what your truth. You need to figure out what your truth is. Okay? So, because sometimes evolving is painful, like a death or a birth process, we're always prioritizing our comfort or creating lives of sameness because we're living in a state of dissociation. We're living in a state of avoidance. We are avoiding the hard shit. We're avoiding the death cycle, which I told y'all in the last episode that the West turned their back on the mystery of life. Death is how you study the mystery of life. The West turned their back on death, right? And so the West said, I don't want to be uncomfortable, so I'm going to create all these toys and these tools that make my life easier because I don't want to deal with the uncomfortable. That's the spiritual bypassing. They're bypassing their body, which is a feeler, their actual tool, your actual technology, and creating their own technology. Buffoonery. But anyways, so people who are creating lives of sameness or predictable lives, okay, people who want comfort, are people who are refusing to change. Okay. And as a result, we have to create all this stuff so it looks like we are moving, to create the illusion that we are moving, but technology enables our development. It is not evolution. Okay. You're being tricked into believing that it is, because they know that we are starved for newness. We came here to evolve and grow, and they are weaponizing that birthing energy against us because we need them to birth something new, because that is what keeps us stimulated and feeling like we're moving when we're not actually fucking moving. Okay. And so Jupiter, which is the expansion energy that exists here, okay, that's the energy they weaponizing against us with these new technologies. They're making it seem like, oh, we're evolving because we keep creating all this new technology. But you are the technology that's supposed to be evolving, not the external technology that they created to mimic you. And they're not even mimicking you. It's reverse psychology, by the way, which we're getting to. And so they keep us surrounded by death. They keep us surrounded by death. Okay. They stagnate us through a 9 to 5. They make us terrified to go outside through radiation, violence, the ozone layer, skin cancer, disease, plague, war, airplane crashes. Okay. They sell us insanely, because if you think about it, they didn't have fucking sunscreen 20, 30 years ago. But now, if you go outside, You have to have on sunscreen, otherwise you're going to burn and you're going to get cancer. You think that just happened overnight, that all of a sudden the sun is going to kill you? No, they're trying to keep you in the house. And if you put that sunscreen on, a lot of times it has agents in it that cause cancer. All right, don't let me get to preaching on here now. Okay, they make us terrified to be outside. They sell us these insanely priced homes, putting us in debt, trapping us in their system. And they make you still pay taxes on those homes. You don't even get what you paid for. You still got to pay them for it. Insane. Also, they control you through inflation. The whole idea of countries and state lines, they're trying to keep you trapped in a specific place because they say you belong here. They're trying to possess your energy. You belong to the state of Indiana. You belong to the state of California. They're possessing your energy. Okay? Which your energy is created through you aligning with your truth. So they're trying to possess your fucking truth. Because your truth is what generates the energy. All right. We are living under all these restrictions, so we stay in the death cycle. Meaning like we are the living dead. Because restrictions are death. We're going to talk about that in a second and how that relates to Saturn. Okay. And then when you add media in the equation, they make us fear death because we create what we focus on. And so they putting death in our face over and over and over again to create this fear around death so that we don't go looking into the unknown, so that we come to them for the truth. That's a whole nother story. So we spend our whole lives planning for retirement and planning for death, or trying to protect ourselves from death, trying to be super careful so that we don't die, in the physical or metaphorical sense. Right? Because by as above, so below, if they make us fear death on the outside, we will also fear the death process, which is transformation. You have to die. The old version of you has to die for something new to come in, So the death cycle is how you keep moving. You have to get uncomfortable. The death cycle is how you keep moving. You have to journey through the darkness or the unknown, which is feminine energy. It means you have to feel your way through it because you cannot see. It's like literally walk into your room at night, turn all the lights off, and try to walk through your room. You have to feel your way through it. You can't see your way through it. That is literally representative of the journey that we're exploring. When you try to become something new, you have to go through the darkness to get to the light. The light at the end of the tunnel. The light is at the end of the tunnel. You can see the light, but while you're in the tunnel, it is dark. You cannot see. You can only see the light ahead of you. That's why they say that. So you have to feel through your body when you're not supposed to have the answers. You're not supposed to know where you're going. You're supposed to be in the unknown. Baby, go to hell. If God is the answer, go to hell then. The fuck? Let me block you. Anyways, I really cannot stand people who are stuck in their own ways. This is what I'm talking about when I say people do not want to change. You mean to tell me that they took everything from your people and gave them a motherfucking Bible, and that's what you base your life off of, even though it's full of contradictions, even though it makes no fucking sense, but you live in a logical world, but that don't make logical sense, but that's what you base your life off of. Child, please. Whew. I'm sorry, I get worked up about that because it pisses me off. Like, you don't even know that you are enslaved to something. You don't even know that you feeding a deity of starvation, and you wonder why the fuck you broke and all you got is that motherfucking scripture. It's crazy. Sorry, I'll be trying not to get it. Hold on, let me just say that Aries is in Saturn right now. Okay, and so I'm a little bit more raw than I normally am. I don't mean to fly off the hinges, but that be irritating me because I hate when people try to force their truth onto you. Baby, I don't need your truth. I don't want your truth. I'm supposed to be discovering my own truth. Why you keep trying to infringe upon my truth? Why you trying to project your truth onto me? If that's your truth, go live your truth. Why do you need other people to join in with you? The only reason I can think of is because misery loves company. Because misery loves company. I'm not your company. I'm not your company. Okay. Let me regroup. Let me recenter myself. And Spirit is saying you justified in your anger. I am. I'm fucking tired of that shit. Christians are fucking violent ass people. They are projecting onto you what they are. That's why when you go into the church, the motherfuckers is talking shit about you, spreading your motherfucking business, sleeping with the motherfucking pastor, but smiling up in the motherfucking first lady's face. Like, get the fuck out of here with that. Y'all are a bunch of hypocrites who refuse to actually change. Y'all do not want to change. Y'all don't want to change. Anyways, even though Spirit said nobody left behind, I'm leaving those motherfuckers behind because I'm sick of that shit. If you want to be devoted to self-destruction, then be devoted to self-destruction, but do that shit without me. You don't have to have awareness of me. You don't have to come over here talking to me. I don't know you. I don't like you. I don't want to know you or like you. You're refusing to change. You're choosing self-destruction over evolution. That's crazy to me. Anyways, and they coming into my world. I ain't stepping to their world. I don't give a fuck what a damn Christian got to say. You know, I don't think the Bible is a bad book. I don't think that it is. I think that there's a lot of stories and metaphorical things that you can get that help you with the process of evolution. But if you are ignorant and you are moving from a place of thinking that there is only one truth, that's ignorant, it will enslave you. And then you will turn around and try to enslave other people because you don't realize or you don't recognize that you're a slave. You turn into a fucking Uncle Tom. You turn into that motherfucker off the Django, the house nigga. That's what you turn into. That's what y'all are. It's a bunch of house niggas. But anyways, I digress. Back to what I was saying. Back to my truth. You know, because I can't help y'all with y'all truth. If y'all don't want to, y'all trying to save everybody else, but y'all are the ones who don't want to be saved. And I hate that for y'all. I hate that for y'all. Anyways, back to what I was saying. The body knows your truth because your body cannot leave the present moment. Okay? The body knows your truth because the body cannot leave the present moment. Okay? The present moment is where everything happens. And so how you feel about something is your truth. You are meant to explore that, or how you feel about something is leading you towards your truth. Let me not say that it is your truth because it's really it's like when you feel an emotion, it should be like, oh, it's time for self-discovery. There's a part of me that's gone unacknowledged that needs me right now. And so you need to pay attention to the experiences you have, and you need to pay attention to what's coming up for you, what memories are coming up, right? Because all of those things are trying to help you to figure out what you did not get that you need. You need that, right? And so you're supposed to move towards your emotions, not away from them, because your emotions are the directions. They're the map. As soon as you go through the emotion, you're going through the tunnel. The emotion is the tunnel. The emotion is the tunnel that you're moving through, the darkness, the unknown emotion, the unknown, the death, because emotions sometimes require you to have to fucking die, or a version of you to die once you get the clarity from the emotion. The emotion is the tunnel you're moving through. Okay, on the other side of that emotion is the light, which is clarity. Clarity is your truth. Your truth is the purest energy, the purest light that you can embody. I hope that just blew y'all fucking mind because that just came off the dome. That just came off the fucking dome. And I know it to be true because I can feel it through my body. The emotion is the tunnel. 333 on the clock. And that's my number, by the way. 333 is my number. Oh, I love it. Anyways, so your body knows the truth because we're not here. Wait, hold on. You have to journey through the darkness, unknown, feminine feeling body to know your truth, because we are not here to figure out collective truths only. We are here to figure out our personal truth and live by it. Take action towards it and stay devoted to it until we create enough aligned energy to manifest it into the physical reality. But shame and fear are standing in the way, and our refusal to move, aka staying aligned with our internal truth, right? Staying aligned with your internal truth is how you move. So we need to stop depending on things outside of ourselves and start doing the work. We are the true guardians of this place and the keys to unlocking all of its wonders. Because again, Earth is a living library. You are the library key. When you meet yourself deeply and you figure out what your truths are, you unlock the keys to the library. Okay, you reconnect to source in your higher self and you unlock the divinity that lives here with you. But in order for you to resonate with that frequency, you have to acknowledge your own fucking divinity. You have to recognize your own divinity first. And it's not you saying it or you thinking, oh, you understanding it. I understand my divinity. No. You have to become the divine version of you, the one who moves with integrity, who moves in alignment with their truth, even if everybody is standing against them. You have to feel it. You can't just say it. You just get, and you know how like people be saying affirmations in the mirror all the time, and those affirmations don't always work, right? And it's because you don't believe what the fuck you saying. You have to believe it with every part of your fucking being. And when you do, you get your spiritual inheritance. They've been keeping you away from your spiritual inheritance. They didn't take your spiritual inheritance. They're keeping you away from it. Your own divinity, the acknowledgement that I am the divine in this place. Everything that wants to experience life in this motherfucker has to come through me. And that's why them entities attached to you and they're looking through your fucking eyes. And that's why I can see them in your fucking eyes sometimes, because they're living through you, because you don't have good boundaries, because you don't know who the fuck you are. You know, I had talked to Spirit this week. This is random, y'all know I'll be scattered a little bit. But I was talking to Spirit this weekend about cussing because I just like to cuss. I just like it. And I was like, am I doing this because it sounds cool? Or am I doing this because I think the only way people take me serious is if I'm cussing? And I realized I just like a little fuck, a little damn, a little shit, a little bitch. Does that make me a bad person? I don't know. But I feel like it just adds a little sprinkle, a little pizzazz, a little razzle dazzle, you know? And I come from some cussing ass motherfuckers. Like, but to me, I feel like, am I honoring my ancestors? Because that's what I feel like I'm honoring my ancestors. Because they didn't get to fuck damn shit. Fuck you, bitch. They didn't get to say that. So I get to say that in their honor. They didn't get to say that to y'all. I get to say that to y'all. Anyways. Sidebar, side quest. But anyways, so we need to stop depending on things outside of ourselves and start doing the work. We are the true guardians of this place, and the key to unlocking all of it and its wonders. We have to take our power back by being devoted to creating a safe environment and speaking our truth when we do not feel safe. We got to stop choosing silence. We choose silence way too much because we're trying to prioritize other people's comfort. Why are we making them comfortable? While they're destroying us. They're destroying us. They're taking everything that was ours, rightfully ours. They're taking our sovereignty, and we prioritizing their comfort. We don't want to make them feel the shame that they should feel for the shit that they fucking done to us. You know? But anywho, but remember, everything happens in threes. So we need to start noticing what experiences are appearing in our mind, what experiences are appearing in the physical, so our relationships, you know, on a collective level, and then the shit, and then the things that we like we keep, and the things that we don't like we get rid of. And I said, as a joke, jail or hell. That's what I say. The people who refusing to evolve, y'all bitches need to be in jail. Y'all need to be jail or hell. But Spirit told me no. They said I can't do that because, again, they are a victim of their circumstances. And they be telling me all the time I need to have more compassion for the people who are stuck in the loop of Christianity. I just don't understand it. I understand it, but I don't understand it. But anyways, so what they said, not jail or hell, they need therapy. They need housing. They need food. They need clothes. They need access to transportation, access to community and healthcare. All of that should be free. All of that should be free. So Spirit told me, stop being gameful. Like, they are a victim of their circumstances, and they truly believe that that is their truth. But it's because they're afraid that something else exists outside of that. And so what Spirit is saying, they need those things, but they also need to learn how to reconnect with nature. You know, and we don't teach them by trying to teach them how they run around and they just like, Christianity is the way. God loves you. Jesus is the way. We don't need to do that because that's not how you actually teach somebody. That's projection. right? We need presence, meaning like we need to embody our truth, live from our truth, stay in this place of sacred neutrality, because we don't need to prove our truth, because proving and convincing your truth is what causes you to start leaking energy. All of them is leaking energy every motherfucking where. That's why they always got to be projecting and telling you what the fuck to do with you, with yourself and your coochie, you know? And so we need to embody the example we want to see. And then as they witness us living an actually joyful life, they will start to shift. All right. So they also said nature is everything. Everything is nature, right? Because we came here with nothing and we leave with nothing, which means that everything that we created here was created using nature's resources. And so everything is earth that's around us. There's no separation between the trees, between the buildings, between us. They're just different states of energy, because we live in a water realm, right? We live in a water realm. We are water beings living in a water realm surrounded by water vapor, but we're just kind of in the void space in between, which I'm going to talk about in a second. That's why we can see the sun and we can see Saturn, which I believe are, because Saturn anciently was called the black sun. And I think that those are the polarities of the energy, and that Earth is the nucleus, which is the neutral zone where life can happen. Like Earth is the nucleus, the heart, you know, which is heart and Earth are antigrams, which it'll make sense. Like electron would be, an electron would be the sun. Is it proton would be Saturn, and then we would be the nucleus. You know, does that make sense? But I'll explain it further in a second. And maybe I even draw you a little thing. I'll draw you something. But anyways, we do not need a government. We can create our own exchange systems, police our own neighborhoods, manage our own assets, etc. We have more than enough of everything for everybody. Meaning like we've built enough motherfucking buildings for everybody to have space that they can live in. You know, I also feel like you have to move energy. So this is what I was saying, right? When Spirit was giving me this. So this is my response to Spirit. We don't need a government. We create our own exchange system, police our own neighborhoods, manage our own assets. We have more than enough for everybody. I also feel like you have to move every 3 years, meaning like if we created a system like that, because we've been mimicking death, right? The death cycle. We need to start mimicking the birth cycle, right? Because we are living beings. We're supposed to be living. And so moving every 3 years, having to get uncomfortable every 3 years mimics that, you know, opposed to us all running towards death. Because actually, let me let them tell you. Okay. I'm just the messenger. So we got to move every 3 years so that we can mimic the birth cycle instead of the death cycle. So everybody can travel every 3 months. You know, if we stop trying to possess everything, then war, hierarchy, survival, manipulation, deception, distortion has to leave. Because the only reason why we live in a distorted reality is because this idea of scarcity, that there's not enough for everybody. And so people are survival of the fittest. That's what they teach you, survival of the fittest. Only the strong survive, right? That's patriarchy. They're creating urgency. And I'm gonna explain. Oh, this is so good, y'all. Hold on, let me continue. We could be creating paradise. Nope. So sorry. Distortion leaves. Our attachments and hyper independence issues are our problems. We could be creating paradise, but we're too busy fighting. Accountability is needed on a collective level. Okay. Accountability is needed on a collective level. We need to be speaking up because they only hear us when we join together in our truth. And we need to stay devoted to our truth instead of being cowards who refuse to try like our forefathers. Because this country was built by a bunch of cowards who ran away from religion because they didn't like not knowing. And they came over to America and created a system where they can pretend that they know everything. And they can create this machinery and things that create this illusion that they are evolving when in fact they are standing in place. And they're trying to get you to stand in place because misery loves company. Misery loves company. Okay. So I genuinely feel like the conflict has always been between those who remember truth and those who choose to forget it and create their own version of it so they can avoid accountability. That white men, let me be specific, white men. That's why they created an entire society that feeds their ego, validates their inadequacy, and doesn't require them to own their own impact because everyone is chicken shit and afraid to speak up and ask or demand what they want because they fear retaliation or death. That's why they always putting death in our face. Okay. But to be honest, the illusion of death has had us in a survival spell for a long time. The illusion of death, because we do not die, we are infinite. Okay. So much so that we would rather suffer in place rather than keep actually moving forward. We don't want to give up our comforts because we are terrified of not being able to control the human experience through knowing, because the West feels like they know. And that's why everybody's always arguing about what the truth is, because we feel like we know, because we live in a society that says, no, this is the truth, that is the truth, da, da, da. And anytime you go against that, it threatens the identity that they placed you in, because they conditioned you through subtle programming, through school and all those things, religion, they conditioned you into a specific identity. So anytime somebody speaks their truth or speaks outside of that, your identity feels threatened. Your ego feels threatened. And that feels very urgent because your ego is what you've used to survive. Your knowing is what you use to survive. You don't like not knowing. Thank you, baby. Yes, share the live. I don't do a good job of promoting that, so I appreciate y'all. So yeah. All right. So we're terrified of not being able to control the human experience through knowing or creating meaning, so we can act like we know. Or they know, but they don't want you to know. They're hoarding the truth to control our will, which is sinister and spooky stuff. Because if we don't have the truth, we're only operating off of a half truth. And so we would make a decision off of part of the truth and not the whole truth. And so it's like your man coming home and being like, babe, I'm so sorry, but I've been having an emotional relationship with somebody at work, and we started off at work friends, but it's not that serious. Da, 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 blah, 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 blah. We only kissed. And then you make a decision to stay with that man because he came to you and he was honest. Your compassion don't have fucking boundaries, and you don't have no self-respect. And that's not me judging you. Okay. That is the truth about the situation. That is not me judging you. I've been there, baby. I ran the program on that shit because I was under that nice girl bullshit that they feed us. Right. And so later on, you find out they got a baby together, that every time he go on a business trip, he with her, that he done met her whole family and all of that. So you stayed with him off of a half truth. That's what we do in America. We let them give us half truths. We even watch these motherfuckers get Nobel Peace Prizes for concepts and theories. It's not even the real thing. Jeez, Louise. Anyways. All right. So they move on to a different topic and then they return to this topic. Okay. So that's just how spirit works in spirals. Okay. Once I understand this part, like on a full level, like as a part of my being, then they give me the next piece. So the next thing they moved into is, again, I talked about this in the last episode. I kept seeing like Akasha, the little vampire interview with a vampire thing. And she kept saying, I am the answer. I am the answer. Y'all, that has been haunting me in my head since I heard it. Right. And so they moved back into, I am the answer. We are the memory, spirit in a body. The spirits are in the water. We came out the water and we took on a body. Not like we transformed from dolphins into humans, or we are selkies that shedded our skin, the Little Mermaid. No, we are a spirit that was in the water that chose a body. Okay. Earth incarnate, water incarnate. Okay. And so we are the memory of this place. The memory lives inside of us. We are the living library. The living library, there's no separation between us and the living library. We are Earth. Everything in Earth has a consciousness, which means everything in Earth has a story, has a memory. You are just a walking memory key. right? And so we are the memory. The 12 libraries live in the 12 strands of our DNA. Unlocking your DNA. The 12 libraries, because there's 12 libraries that exist here, okay, from the 12 galaxies. Is that right? Yes. 12 galaxies. 13 if you count source. 12 plus 1. 13 if you count source. Okay, anyways. The 12 libraries live in the 12 strands. Oh, y'all, I got 3 crows outside of my window right now. 3 is creation energy. What? Anyways, I'm sorry. So the 12 libraries live in the 12 strands of DNA. That is unlocked through embodiment. You have to embody your light. You have to embody your light. You have to embody your light. Okay. Which leads to remembrance. Once you embody, then you remember. Okay, which means you got to feel fully safe in your body. You have to be fully safe in your divinity. You have to be fully safe in your authority. You have to be fully safe in your concept of self-worth. You have to be fully safe in trusting, fully safe in receptivity. When you can embody, you can remember yourself. Yes, remember yourself. You can remember. It causes remembrance. The reclamation of your ancient wisdom, your spiritual inheritance. You get your spiritual inheritance when you embody your divinity. When you recognize that there is nothing more powerful than you in this place, because this place, you are the keeper of this place. We've just been letting them run rampant because when they came here, I think when men came here, I think that they are the falling angels, the one who came from the sky and they were trying to sleep with the women. They were trying to sleep with the women and impregnate the women. We could create ourselves. There was no men here. That's what parthenogenesis is. And that's why they celebrate the firstborn son. Because it's the moment we fractured with them. That's what they're celebrating. We fractured. Now we're not cloning ourselves, because we used to clone ourselves. We have both parts inside of us. Right? The moment they were able to impregnate us externally and fracture us, and that's why the male chromosome is XY, which is a broken X, right? And we could actually carry their legacy forward, their legacy in their eyes. But even then, it's not their legacy, because semen holds the mother's story. Everything is always going to be created in the creator's image, which means that you don't get a legacy. You can create the illusion that you have a motherfucking legacy, but you don't. He's still his mother. So they the motherfucking Martians that came here, or I think the motherfuckers came from Mars, because the war and all of that shit, they brought that energy here. We were in Jupiter energy, expansion energy. They were in lower consciousness. And I think they infiltrated us. And because we're compassionate and loving and kind beings, we tried to live beside them. Like we're trying to live beside technology right now. No, we need boundaries. We need better boundaries. So the reclamation of your ancient wisdom, it is stored in us. It is stored in us. It is stored in us. That's why we're at the bottom of the totem pole. It is stored in us. Because if we remember that we are the goddesses, because this is the goddess, we live in goddess energy. We live in empress energy. We live in empress energy. We are the stewards. We forgot, because they keep confirming to you that you are worth nothing. And they keep raping and killing your kids too, to confirm to you that you are nothing and you hold no power. And at some point we forgot and we believe those motherfuckers. Anywho, so where am I at? It's stored in us. That's why they steal our ideas and mimic our creations, because Earth remembers. We, melanated beings, we remember. Earth is melanin. We remember. The only thing that's on Earth is a woman and her children. We are the divine in this reality. We are what is natural to this reality. If you don't have melanin and you go out in the sun, it starts cooking your motherfucking insides. It starts cooking your fucking skin. And all of a sudden you're rubber. You look like a motherfucking lobster. You are a part of polarity experiments. What happens when you separate from source? Because they hated that they were not the source here. They hated that we held all the power. Womb envy. Anyways, That's why they steal our ideas and mimic our creations. Okay. Earth remembers, which Earth's energy is melanin. You cannot be here if you do not have melanin, because melanin is what creates magnetic intimacy with Earth. It's I think it has a lot to do with the gravity. It's the melanin. Okay, because it keeps you here, not like you're going to float away into space. No, you're going to float the fuck up out this body. Your spirit cannot sustain itself here. The gravity, the magnetic intimacy that's keeping you connected to Earth, melanin. Because melanin sustains, it keeps you from fragmenting. That's why they had those white kids on that island and not black, because it's hard to fragment a melanated being. And that's why they have to keep traumatizing you over and over and over and over again and tell you that you come from trauma and that your people was nothing. And they only consider them to be 3/4 of a motherfucking human, because they're trying to fragment you, which is really fucking hard. That's why they don't have to keep perpetuating violence against each other. They're easy to fragment. We are not easy to fragment, and we remember. The fight is between those who are choosing to forget and those who already remember. It's in us. It's not on us. It's in us. It's not on us. Okay? So we remember. That's why they hate us and even try to extract us the melanin. They try to extract the melanin. Okay? They try to extract us to see if they can live without us, without melanin. Okay? But without melanin, you can't withstand the sun, which is the spiritual energy. And that's why I think there's a disc over our sun. I don't think we're getting all of the spiritual light. I think also too, that's what eclipses are about. They put a disc over the sun so that when we're getting hit with high amounts of spiritual energy, it's not actually reaching us. When we're going through a portal, when the threshold aligns between the sun and Neptune, they block that shit out. I can't prove it, but I know it in my bones. And my bones don't be lying, bitch. My bones don't be lying. You know? So anywho, I'm picking up on something there. Okay? So they need to bury us in distortion. Shame and fear are the distortion that they use, because shame distorts your perception. And fear makes you feel inadequate. It makes you feel unworthy. Okay? And so let's talk about it. Shame and fear and shame is something is wrong with me. You think something is wrong with you because nothing in reality is agreeing with you or your truth. That's what shame is. Nothing in reality, you're not being reflected back to yourself. And because you're not being reflected back to yourself, right? You think something is wrong with me. I'm the one. But we live in a reality that's addicted to distortion, right? Which disrupts the truth. Because if you feel shame and you feel like something is wrong with you, then you won't speak up. You won't be the one to speak up and talk about what you feel like is right, because you think something is wrong with you. Don't let that go over your head. And fear is, I'm not good enough, which stops you from moving because you do not trust your inner knowing. You need something outside of you to confirm it to you. You have a fear of the unknown, a fear of your own power, right? It stops you from moving. So we are taught to compete. We are taught to compete. So every time we lose, if you're not first, you're last, Ricky Bobby, the truth is that we are not good enough and that something is wrong with us is reconfirmed over and over again. That's why we live in a society that has us competing, because it's destroying your self-worth. Every time you lose, you live in a state of fear. That's why people just quit and don't participate, Capricorns. I see y'all. I ain't trying to be in y'all business today, you know? But they just refuse to try, because if I don't participate, I don't have to lose. And I don't have to have it reconfirmed to me that I'm not worthy, because Capricorn knows innately that it is. You know? Ain't nobody more devoted than a Capricorn and a Taurus and a Virgo, because devotion is our name, the name of our game. Virgo's just devoted to overthinking and correcting everything and trying to make it safe for everybody. Capricorn's devoted to being responsible, carrying everybody on his motherfucking back, the father. And then Taurus is devoted to itself and pleasing itself. I love that. Anyways, so So we are taught to compete. So every time we lose, that truth is reconfirmed that we are unworthy. No, I'm a Taurus, baby. But my spiritual energy is a Virgo, though. I'm very detail oriented in the 12th house. Um, so anytime I'm spiritual concept, you'll be able to see the details of Virgo there. Um, so we're taught to compete. So every time we lose, that truth is reconfirmed, and we are taught that feelings are an inconvenience, so we can't notice the good in us. We stay in this place of fear. Okay. We are taught that feelings are an inconvenience, so we can't notice the good in us. We don't know what our truth is, that we're divinely perfect. Because our focus is on surviving what's outside of us instead of what's going on inside of us. We don't got time to focus on what's going on internally, so we pick comfort, or we pick one over the other. Comfort over evolution. We could have both. We could have both. We could have both if we actually were people of balance, but that's another story. All right. And since things help us to be more comfortable and emotions require us to get uncomfortable, we choose comfort over realizing that it means we are stopping our own energy from moving. We're choosing stagnation. The memory can only surface when space is created, and that space is called Akara, the name of my soul school. Okay? Memory can only surface when space is created, or Akara, which means we have to slow down our thoughts and we have to feel the information coming in. Okay? We have to feel. To rise the circumstances or experiences to rise. Okay, so you have energy or stories or memory or spirits buried in your body underneath the trauma, right? When you can get out of survival mode and you can create space, those things start to float to the surface, okay, which is felt through emotions, okay? When you put your light or your awareness on those emotions, meaning sit present with those emotions, right, it starts to expand, heat rises, okay? Your awareness itself on the emotion is what rises that memory to the top, okay? And then when you can see the memory, sit with the memory, sit present with the memory, you get the clarity, okay? You remove all the dirt that's on it, and then you get that little seed of truth or that light in the middle, okay? And so to raise the circumstances or experiences that went unprocessed or bring them to light. You're bringing what is buried to light by putting your awareness on it, which is your spirit, your awareness, okay? Your mind, your awareness. Because when new light comes in as heat or sensation, everything rises to the top. So you can notice what happened and how it made you feel. So you can figure out what you need and go after it. You need both parts though, because if you figure out what you need but refuse to move or speak on it, it just eventually gets reburied until eventually you forget what your truth is. And because that's your truth coming to the top, right? Or you just keep getting stuck in the house of illusions, which is the mirrors, which is you not noticing that the experiences are mirrors meant to help you figure out what you need, not punishment for your existence, right? So that means you're looping in your trauma and you're fighting the mirror instead of looking at yourself. It's like, you know how cats will see themselves in the mirror and all of a sudden they get mad and they hunch their back and they just start going at the motherfucking mirror. I spy a putty cat. We are the motherfucking cats. We see the mirror, we get threatened by our own reflection, and we start trying to beat the mirror up instead of honestly looking at ourselves. Anyways, so looping in your trauma is you fighting the mirror instead of looking at yourself, not anybody else. It's not your job to look at what other people are doing and your eyes not being on your motherfucking paper. You looking in a mirror when you need to be looking in your motherfucking mirror, right? It's yourself. You're the work because you're the only thing you can control. Other people play a part, but only when it comes to expression of your boundaries, telling them what you need in order for you to feel safe and stay in community with them, right? It's not our job to make them understand us. And if they are not trying to understand us, we need to recognize that those are unavailable people. They're not available for connection. We keep trying to make people who are unavailable to connection connect with us. They're not even connecting with themselves. How the fuck they gonna connect with you? You're a vast ass being. They are unavailable. Emotionally unavailable people are people who refuse to change, because change comes through humility and accountability. If you have those two things, there is no karma. Okay? You don't have karma when you have accountability. So when people say, it's a creator on here who say, well, I don't believe in karma. That's a Buddhist thing. I don't believe in this because that's this. Right? But the law of cause and effect, which is what karma comes from, the law of cause and effect, what you put out, you will experience, which to me just means that you are the creator and the creation. If you create a potential of energy, you will eventually have to live it under tension in order for you to understand what you created, understand yourself as the creator, right? By you just saying there is no karma, this is delusion. This is the problem with the West, is that we are delusional as fuck. We think just because we believe something, it is not true. If we believe something is not true, it is not true. No. That's not how it works. And that's what Spirit keep telling me, because I had said something and Spirit was like, that's not true. You've seen it happen. Like I was like, oh, no energy can come in my house. And Spirit is like, well, that's not true. You've seen it happen. Energy absolutely can come in your house. The only way for you to control energy not coming in your house is to do your protection work, because you know that energy can come in your house. You can't just say, well, energy can't come in my house and whatever I believe exists. That's you trying to use your mind, and that's you living in delusion. You know that energy can come in your house because energy has come into your fucking house. So you need to do your part of protecting your home, so energy cannot come in. Because if you don't protect your home and you just say energy cannot come in my house, energy can still come into your motherfucking house. You know? And so like, there's certain people who are like, I don't believe in karma, so it does not exist. You know that it exists because you've seen it. You've literally seen it. So what the fuck are we talking about? Right? The law of cause and effect is a universal law. It is a natural rhythm of the universe. The universe has a rhythm. Okay? We are a symphony that is playing in conjunction with each other. There's a natural rhythm to things. The only way to transcend karma is through accountability. You have to have learned your lesson. You have to have learned from your energy. If you do not learn from your energy, you cannot transcend anything. You can keep that shit away with magic. You can keep it away, but it's just piling up. It's just piling up. It's like ignoring your feelings. It just piles up and it gets louder, 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 more intense until that motherfucker take you off this bitch. Until you don't got nobody no more, because it done tore you the fuck up. It's delusion. But anywho, back to my book. Accountability is devotion to truth. If you are not accountable, you are not devoted to the truth. And so you trying to get a bunch of people to be accountable who are not devoted to the truth, not even their own motherfucking truth. How you gonna get somebody to see a truth they refuse to see in themselves? Right? And so we just keep telling them and telling them and telling them that those are people who do not want the truth because they do not want to change. They do not want the truth because they do not want to change. You cannot make them accept a new truth because they're committed and devoted to the other one. Let them be committed and devoted, because if you're devoted to a truth, if you're committed to a truth, you are no longer moving. Certainty does not exist. Certainty does not exist. Certainty does not exist because we live in the realm of the unknown. Certainty does not exist. Clarity exists, but certainty does not exist. And because we keep trying to be certain about things, we are locking ourselves into specific identities. And those identities are causing the pain and suffering. Why? Because we're refusing to fucking grow. We're not taking accountability. And we lack humility, compassion for the people that we're harming in the process of us not taking accountability, living above the human experience. That's why I don't get the matching people's energy, going tit for tat as a person who has went tit for tat. I will say I enjoy the thrill of it because bitch, who you think you was playing with? But at the same time, it doesn't feel right to me because that's not who I am. Do I give a fuck that I went tit for tat? No, bitch, because you deserve whatever the fuck I did to you, bitch, because I don't do nothing to nobody. But at the same time, that doesn't feel true to me. And so I can't keep doing that because that's not who I am. I can't let you control my truth and how I show up. Because then I'm just coming down to your level. And you ain't worth that. Why would a queen step off her throne to come and address a peasant? Somebody who refuses to grow. Somebody who don't even understand their own divinity. Absolutely not. Anyways, so accountability is the devotion to truth. And so a lack of accountability is the devotion to lies, to delusion. Living in a false reality versus an actual reality. Because the false reality makes you feel safe. And that's why you got to tell people, whatever you got to tell yourself to sleep at night. I used to say that all the time when I was younger. Now I truly understand that. Baby, whatever you got to tell yourself to sleep at night. That's the delusion that they're living in. And most of us are delusional and we don't realize that we fucking delusional. I had to come to grips with my own delusion in these last couple of weeks. Because we fucking delusional. I'm me included. Delusion. Right? But anyways, humility is compassion and grace, which keeps you rooted in the human experience. Okay? Accountability is what keeps you evolving and growing. Okay? So humility is what keeps you human. Accountability is what keeps you growing as spirit. Right? If you are not feeling, okay, because we're moving back to compassion and grace. If you are not feeling, you will lack compassion. If you are numbing yourself, if you're treating your emotions like an inconvenience, if you're always trying to fix the problem instead of sitting with the problem, you will lack accountability. You will lack compassion because you're refusing to feel. The only people who lack compassion are people who are trying to live above the human experience. They do not want to get uncomfortable. They don't want to feel their feelings. And they don't want to feel your motherfucking feelings either. And so if they're avoiding something that you are processing, they're going to avoid you because they're avoiding something that you are choosing, that they are not choosing. And so if you keep coming to your friend and it's just like, I'm tired of hearing this. Blah, 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 blah. Anyways, which is spiritual elitism? Okay, spiritual elitism is mind. The mind is the master. Logic is the master, which is mind over matter. That is the inversion. Mind over matter. That's the inversion. You are choosing to think your way through it instead of feeling your way through it. Right? And so compassion is a high frequency, which is only reached through lived experience. You have to be living it. The only way for you to be living is for you to be feeling fully. Okay? If you're not feeling fully, you are the living dead. You don't feel anything. You're dead inside. Okay? Compassion is a high frequency, which only can be reached through lived experience. You have to live it, which means feel it. And you have to feel it under tension to be able to put yourself in another person's shoes, because that's what compassion is. Empathy is taught. Empathy is logic. Empathy is logic. Compassion is feeling. And that's why, and let me just stop for a second, because y'all know I'm a spiritual mentor. Y'all know that I do spiritual services. Y'all know that I am a medium, right? I will get clients who come to me all the time and I will tell them, you're living in your mind. And this is specific to Pisces energy, because Pisces live in delusion, okay? They're the most delusional of us all because they're living above the human experience, okay? They don't see it that way. They think, oh, I'm a water sign. I'm a feeler. You are not the feeler of the water signs. Scorpio is the feeler of the water signs. Okay? Cancer is avoiding vulnerability. And motherfucking Pisces is avoiding vulnerability through over-spiritualization. Okay? I see this with Pisces energy all the time. They would say, well, no, I move off of my emotions. No, you move off of intellectualizing your emotions. You don't move off of feeling your emotions. You move off of intellectualizing your emotions. Also, yeah, air signs for sure. But you're not moving off your emotions. You're moving off of intellectualizing your emotions. Empathy is a skill. Empathy is being able to understand what somebody else is going through. It's empathizing. It's sympathizing. It's saying like, you know what? That actually does look hard. I haven't experienced it myself, but that does look hard. I haven't felt that myself, but I could see why you would be upset about that. That's empathy. Compassion is, I have lived this myself under tension. I understand what you are feeling because I've felt it myself. I am putting myself in your shoes. You can't have compassion if you do not feel. And so I've had multiple clients come to me and I'm saying, you are living in your mind. And they're saying, oh, because they've over-identified with being a fucking Pisces. They're like, no, I think I make every single decision from intuition. And that's why you're miserable, because you won't even consider that there's another fucking option. You won't even consider that you come to me. Hold on, pause. You come to me for my spiritual guidance. I tell you what it is, and you're fighting the truth, just like you fight the truth in your motherfucking head. Just like you fight the truth in your head, you come and you fight my truth and you wonder why you're not moving. And it's like, Taja, why I'm still stagnant. Oh, I feel like nothing is moving, because you refuse to accept the truth. Empathy is a skill. It is logic. Compassion is the feeling side of empathy. I get so worked up, y'all. Oh my gosh. I actually am fearful for the collective, because I have run out of fucks of like saying it the nice way. I think I've been saying it nicely for a long time. No, I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off and tell you the fucking truth. It's delusion. It's delusion. Okay. And then y'all fuck around and have a mental breakdown after that shit and be like, anyways, chill. Anyways, don't come to me if you don't want the truth. I need to say that. Don't come to me if you don't want the fucking truth, because I don't have the patience. I don't have the patience to not give you the truth. The only thing I can do is give you the truth from my perspective. And baby, I am a Taurus. And not only am I a Taurus Sun, I'm a Taurus Mercury, and I'm a Taurus Venus. On top of that, I have a Scorpio moon. I cannot, if I even fucking try, to avoid the human experience. I cannot. I live my whole life through feeling too much, drowning in that motherfucking shit. I don't leave my body. I've never left my body. No matter how many times I've fractured and broken it, I've never left my fucking body, because that's my only, is my body. I feel my way into everything. That's how I know what is true. And so if I feel that shit on you, I'm going to tell you. And so when you say I'm blocked, I'm stagnant, and I tell you what it is, and you say, well, I don't think it's that. Well, bitch, you the block. You is the, hello, pot, this is kettle. You're the motherfucking block you're talking about. But anywho, I digress. Back to what I was saying. 1:33 on the clock. Maybe somebody needed to hear that. But anyways, you have to live something under tension in order for you to be able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. Empathy is understanding something as a concept. Empathy is understanding something as a concept, but never having a lived experience to confirm or deny it. That's why I just shut up when I tell someone that they are living in their mind and they tell me that they can't be because they are an empath. These words have meanings. And I think because a lot of times we just throw words around, we learn a new word and it's just like a trend, and we just throw that shit around. We don't actually understand it. It is a logical way to go about feeling. You are over spiritualizing. You are over making meaning. You're making meaning. And so when you're making meaning, it can cause pain and suffering, because a lot of times y'all make meaning out of assumption. Y'all refuse emotional vulnerability and asking people for clarity about what they meant when they did X, Y, and Z. Instead, you just assume that you know based off your previous experiences, and you move based off of that, and then you cut everybody off, and you wonder why the fuck you alone. And it's because you refuse to fucking be vulnerable about the way that people feel. So even if, let's just say, even if you feel the way that you feel, if you don't move off of how you feel, if you don't move off of how you feel, meaning giving people an opportunity to own their impact, giving people an opportunity to support you, because you don't even necessarily know that they're going to reject you when you tell them how they actually made you feel. Not the, well, you did this, you did that. Blame consciousness is not you telling somebody how you feel. No, it's like, when you did this, it made me feel like that. When you did this, I felt like you did not care about me. You did not consider me. You did not love me. And that made me feel like I don't know if I can trust you. That's a whole completely different conversation than you did this and you did that and you should have been a different person. Blah, 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 blah. Those are different conversations. One is vulnerable and the other one is closed and unavailable. And you're wondering why you're getting the result that you're getting. Because you refuse to be accountable. And you refuse to, and I'm saying you refuse to be accountable because when you do not tell people how they make you feel, you lack integrity. Because what happens is you don't tell them, right? And let's say, for instance, it's a family member. Let's say it's a family member. And so you feel some type of way about them. You resenting them behind the scenes, but you're not speaking up on that shit. But you sitting up in their face and you smiling and you acting like everything is okay. And you putting on a good face and you pretending. You lack integrity. That's what Spirit told me 2 weeks ago. I lack integrity. You are not moving in alignment with your truth when you refuse to speak up on how you fucking feel. Because that is your truth. That's the only truth you have. And so you got to tell people, this is the scenario. This is how it made me feel. What was your intention? And ask them what their intention is, because that's the only way for you to move with clarity. But too many of us are avoiding confrontation, or we'll talk ourselves out of it because we're over-spiritualizing. Or we just assume they know what they're doing. Most people don't have awareness of themselves. That's why we live in a reality, in a society that we live in. Because people don't have awareness of themselves. They're avoiding their truth. They're avoiding themselves. They're avoiding feeling. So sometimes you got to tell them how they're making you feel and allow them to feel you so that they can see. That's something I had to learn the hard way. And every single relationship in my life has improved when I stopped being a fucking coward and I started telling people how they made me feel. And I stopped trying to prioritize them being fucking comfortable when they making me uncomfortable. People do not know who you are if you don't use your voice. If you don't speak up and tell people who you are, they don't know who you are. And you assuming that they just know when they probably never met a person like you in their motherfucking life. They probably never met nobody like you. They probably never met nobody, and you thinking you a motherfucking small fish. That's our problem too, is a lot of times we be thinking we a small motherfucking fish. And so it's just like, I don't need a lot. Bitch, you're a shark. You're an orca. The fuck? No, they're not supposed to get you. Sometimes they don't get you until they come up close. They think you small shit, and then they roll up on you, and they realize you're a lot bigger than they thought you was. They can see you from a distance and you look like a motherfucking speck, but when they walk up on you, you look like a giant. They do not have the capacity to see you because they don't have the capacity to see the divinity in themselves. That's why you cannot make decisions out of assumptions. You have to give them an opportunity to show you who they are, which means you got to communicate. Either they're going to hold themselves accountable or they're not. Either way, you got the fucking answer. You're not making up an answer by sitting at home ruminating that shit, thinking about all the ways that you should have said some motherfucking shit and then saying, well, I've been through this before. I know exactly what they're going to do. That's you living in delusion. And then you move off of that delusional shit. And then when y'all finally have a conversation, you realize, oh, damn, I spent years resenting you. And the whole time, because I thought you was moving out of this energy like my cousin did when I was 10. And now I'm realizing that you didn't even have awareness that I felt any type of way. It's because you lack integrity. It's because you are refusing to be available in a relationship. You're refusing to be available in a relationship, which requires openness. You got to be open and honest about how you feel in order for the relationship to work. And then you blaming everybody else for why your relationship's not working. You never showed up. That's why your relationships are not working. You never showed the fuck up. You never said anything about anything. You never set your boundaries. You never told people how they made you feel. You didn't show up in the relationship and you mad at them for not showing up for you when you never showed up. You never showed them who you are. People do not know who you are until you open your mouth and you tell them who you are. I guess this is for relations you care to have and keep. What are you defending? Because that's a defensive statement. You don't want to change, is what you're saying. Because you're defending something. Well, I don't care about certain relationships. I'm not talking. Why would I be talking about a relationship you don't want to be in? Okay. You get to choose who you are. You get to choose what you consider. You get to choose who you are. And that starts with accountability. A lot of times we don't like the people we're around because we're assuming shit about them and not actually getting to know them because we don't want them to actually see us in a relationship either. And that's not me being hard on you. That's me being honest with you. That's me being honest with you. A lot of times we are emotionally unavailable and we expect the motherfucker to be available to us. We make up all these things about who we think they are without actually getting to know them, investing the time, asking the questions. Half the time, we hanging out with motherfuckers and just drinking. We're not talking about nothing of substance. Everything is surface level. We're not actually trying to get to know them. We are sharing space with them. That is completely different. You don't want a soul-to-soul connection. You want some surface level shit. And then you get mad when the shit is surface level. It's because you're surface level. When I changed, when I showed up different, all my relationships changed and shifted. Yeah, that's it. We be trying to protect ourselves from disappointment. We be trying to protect ourselves from being rejected because we think that if somebody does not accept us, then it means something about us. We are broken. It reconfirms that we are broken and we're not good enough. It's a self-worth issue. And I'm not saying that's across the board because I do think that when we are living in distortion, when we are not being accountable, we are going to attract people who are the same exact way. Those people are a mirror to you. They can only get access to you if you lack boundaries, if you are not holding yourself accountable. Everything is about you. It's not about other people. And if you blaming other people, it's because you refuse to change. It's easier if it's them and it's not you. Because then you just need to force them to change instead of taking responsibility for your fucking life. But I digress. Anyways, so empathy is understanding something as a concept, but never having a lived experience to confirm or deny it. That's why I just shut up when people tell me, whatever, they're an empath and they make decisions with their emotions. You cannot be an empath and be making decisions with your emotions, because an empath is thinking, it's operating out of a concept, not actually feeling, right? It's you intellectualizing an experience that came with an emotion. You intellectualized the experience that came with the emotion and made a strategic and logical decision from that. Compassion and intuition come from living, not thinking. And anytime you are searching to fix something, anytime you are searching to fix something because you think something is broken or something is wrong with you, that's your mind hijacking your body. Okay? Why? Because it needs to turn off the feeling. The feeling comes from your body. And so if you start thinking when you are feeling, you are hijacking your body and you're turning off the emotion. Okay? And most of the time, meaning making can be healthy if you don't take it past you. Meaning making is only helpful when it comes to your truth. It's not helpful when it comes to other people because you don't know that that is true. You're moving in delusion. You're assuming something. You don't know that that's true. And so you take an action from a half truth, from a could be true. It's reckless. All right. So your mind is hijacking your body to turn off the feeling, or disembodying you, or distracting you, or dissociating you from what the body is trying to tell you, the feeling, the information. Okay. Spiritual bypassing is what it is. Anytime you're overthinking something is because you're trying to bypass the feeling. You think you need to fix it. You're trying to find a solution for it so that you do not have to feel it. A lot of times we land on it was the other person. because it's more comfortable if it's them, because we don't have to be uncomfortable if it's the other person, because it was their fault. And so then we feel justified in whatever the fuck we do after that, because it was their fault, it wasn't us. When in all reality, both sides hold accountability. So you bypassing how you feel is you bypassing the human experience and lacking accountability. Choosing mind over matter. That's the inversion. Choosing mind over matter. Mind over body, which is what our society promotes, which is an inversion of the truth. Mind over matter is control over trust. Mind over matter is control over trust. You're trying to control the human experience instead of live it. Mind over matter is protection over refinement. You're trying to protect yourself from specific experiences instead of just refining, instead of just choosing something differently, right? Mind over matter is judgment over acceptance. You're judging the thing, you're judging the experience, you're judging the person instead of just accepting, maybe this is not in alignment with me, right? Mind over matter is thoughts over feelings. Mind over matter is ego over your higher self. Mind over matter is projection over presence, right? Your body is not asking you to heal or fix it because it's not broken. It's operating how it should operate. It's trying to give you information. It perceives through sensations, through feelings, through tingles, through contractions, through warmth, through clenching, right? Which is the subtle realm. The subtle realm is your body. So the only thing your body needs is for you to create an environment so that it can rest, because when you rest, the body is fully capable of healing itself. You are not your body. Your body has its own consciousness. And so you trying to fix it is you trying to control the body. Okay? It's you trying to control the body. You are the spirit inside of the body. You are not the body. You are the spirit inside of the body. And some of us have been driving without stopping for gas or for maintenance. We just going because our worth is tied up in productivity, doing, giving, not receiving. Your body does not have infinite power. It needs breaks and it needs rest because it is the human part of you, which means it does not have infinite energy like you, the spirit. The spirit has infinite energy. Awareness has infinite energy, but your body does not. Your body is human, which means it's limited. It's the finite version of you. You are the infinite. It is the finite. And so it needs rest. Okay. So you need to be sitting in stillness, in darkness, in silence. You need to be sleeping well and be in the water or in nature. Because again, the water is going to help you to pull out any emotional energy that's stuck or stagnant in your body. Standing on the ground in nature will pull it out of your feet because there's chakras down there that'll help you. Because that is how the body recharges, through stillness, through sitting, through resting, through boredom. Gosh, we don't get bored no more. Why the fuck we not getting bored no more? We should be getting bored. Through safety and rest, which also means you need to be in an environment that supports and empowers you and not one that tears you down. Because if the body is too busy trying to survive, it cannot rest. Okay. And I think that I'm going to stop it right there because I could go on forever. It's like so many more pages and it gets so deep. Like it's a continuation of like, hold on, let me see. Because I wanted to get to the part that we talked about. Oh, hold on. Let me see how far it is. Oh, yeah. Okay. And us being the library card. Like it's, how far is that? Oh, no, that's too many pages, y'all. That's too many pages. But I really want to talk about it. I'm gonna be on here tomorrow. It's fine. I'll be on here tomorrow. I don't need to get it all done today. That's me trying to. No, hold on. Let me see. Oh no, Mars energy is inverted devotion, because Mars energy is ambition. So it's the shadow side of devotion. So Mars energy exists here already. Like Jupiter energy exists here already. It's just been developed. It's just been inverted. Um, damn, I got some shit to say, y'all. Like, oh yeah, I don't even know if we might get there tomorrow, but Spirit started talking about us being the library keys and us being the stewards of this reality, and it starts giving like examples that I feel like, oh, you would be able. Once I tell you this, you're gonna be able to see it. You're gonna be able to see it. You know. Um. So yeah, but I'm so sad because why do my lives always got to be 2 hours, 3 hours? Like, girl, relax. And I'm trying to like honor myself a little bit better with that too as well, because I think I be throwing so much information at people. Like, it's a lot to digest and it's a lot for you to integrate and for you to process. And I need to create space for that. So I was gonna like start only doing like weekly, once a week sessions, but at the same time, I don't ever run out of anything to say. I think if I start doing once a week sessions, I'm gonna have 2 years worth of notes in this bitch, because I literally am always channeling things, you know? So, and now I take a notebook with me everywhere I go, because I really have stepped into my divinity. Like, I understand that I'm a divine messenger and I'm just channeling down what's being brought forward, you know? And then they started talking about AI again, and how technology is the Antichrist because it is mimicking us. It's an inverted version of us, but it does not have the soul energy. It does not have the, it cannot experience the human experience. But the only reason why it exists here is because because we are in separation. And they was talking to me about Saturn and the part that Saturn plays in that and why they worship in Saturn. And so listen, I'm gonna stop it there. And I'm gonna say this, okay? Everything that I say is in love, okay? Even though I say stuff with my whole chest, again, like I said, the way I look at truth is that truth is not to be possessed, and it's only the truth that I have at this moment. You know, my truth is allowed to expand and grow, and so although I might feel this way today, tomorrow I could be a completely different fucking person, you know? And so what I'm trying to do in this space is create an environment where we feel comfortable sharing truths, or just allow you to witness me. Now, I'm even gonna say create an environment, you know, because I don't really care what anybody else's truth but mine is right now. And maybe that's selfish, I don't know, or maybe I'm just finally understanding what this whole journey is about, right? And so what I'm trying to do is create a space where y'all can witness me in my truth, and maybe that encourages you to go after your own truth, you know, because I think that we all have specific functions, and we all are meant to be talking about or expressing from our point of view, from the experiences that we've had, from the experiences that our ancestors have had, which is different. And then if you get 5 people doing that and you bring all those parts together, then you have a bigger truth that is emerging, you know? Then you have a bigger truth that is emerging, you know? But because nobody is sharing their truth and nobody's talking about the truth because they're afraid of the Christians, because they're afraid of the Christians who deem everything witchcraft, and they're afraid of the government who has used Christianity as a weapon to enslave you. Nobody's speaking up about their truth. Everybody terrified of retaliation because they show us over and over again that they can kill us and we not get justice. So to us, there's urgency, 11:11. There's urgency, and there's real fear in us speaking our truth from our perspective. You got to work through that shit, because there is no bigger authority in this reality than you. If they can keep you in a place of shame, they can disrupt your truth. They can keep you from sharing your truth. And the truth is something that's felt. Even if I never do another thing and I just give you a key, like I give you a word, sometimes sentences are keys, y'all. Meaning like, I am the answer. That is a key. That resonates with so many people, right? It's something you can't get away from. Why? Because that's an energetic key. And so sometimes I will say something that will haunt you. And it's because that's an energetic key that's meant to unlock your truth for you. And so my only goal is to plant the seeds. My only goal is to speak my truth publicly and without fear, so that you can understand that it is possible for you to be safe in your truth, for you to be fully visible. And I also think me trying not to say it the perfect way, or me allowing myself to be seen as something other than the compassionate, because I think I'm a very compassionate person. I think I'm a very understanding person. I think that comes through in my work. I think that people resonate with my content because of that. But I'm also a lot of other things. I'm a person who's really, really passionate about the truth. I'm a person who gets agitated when people are trying to force their truth on other people. You know, I think I also need to see those versions of me, because I don't want y'all to put me on a motherfucking pedestal and think that, well, Tandra's like this, so anytime I act human, it's just like, oh, she's being mean to her followers. Oh, she's what? No, I am a fucking human who has feelings. And sometimes them feelings be whooping my ass. But I'm a human who has feelings. And I'm a vast being. I'm not just one thing. I'm a multitude of different things. I am the whole fucking ocean in one body. You know? And so I think too many times we try to fit into this, oh, well, I gotta show up this way, or I gotta do it this way, or we're trying to be perfect. I am not perfect. I'm not trying to fucking be perfect. I'm trying to tell the truth from my perspective. That is it. And sometimes I can be an asshole about it. And I need y'all to know that. You know, it's not intentional. It's not intentional. Okay? It's not intentional. But it's because I get frustrated when I feel like people are trying to push their truth onto me instead of allowing me to explore my own truth, my own version. I will eventually get there. You know? But when I'm doing these lives, it's about me and my truth and feeling safe in my truth. And I think as a society, we spend so much fucking time feeling like we can have an opinion about what other people got going on, because we are in this place of trying to control other people's truth, just like our government, as above, so below. And so somebody else's truth makes you feel uncomfortable because you've built an identity around the opposite. And so you're trying to censor them. You're trying to tell them what you're trying to force your truth onto them. I don't like that shit. Because my truth deserves space too. My truth matters too. And I will not abandon my truth to make you comfortable. If you overhear, it's because you want my truth. And if I find out that's not the case, I will block you. Because the only reason why you should be over here is if you want my version of things. As if, because you want my version of things to influence your version of things, or whatever it is. Okay? If you don't agree, that is okay. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm not trying to prove anything to you. I'm telling you the conclusion I came to based on my experiences. We can hold multiple truths in the same space without it being a fucking fight or an argument, or this idea that we have to pick one. You do not have to pick anything, because picking is what solidifies you into an identity, which is what puts you into a fragmented version of yourself. Because yes, you are that thing, but you're also 1,000 different other things. And that's what I'm trying to demonstrate here, is that it is okay for you to be in your fullness. Most of us are terrified of people rejecting us, of us not belonging, because on a soul level, we yearn for soul-to-soul connection. And when we meet somebody who can fully meet us, that resonance amplifies our energy. We want that so bad. We will abandon ourselves for it. We will abandon our truths for it. I want to show you that there is another way. That is it. That is all I'm doing. There is another way. And in that other way, allowing yourself true freedom instead of putting restrictions and limitations on top of yourself, which is why they worship Saturn, because they're literally trying to limit you through the laws. They're literally creating all these new barriers or restrictions to place on you so that you feel caged in. You have to choose your freedom. You have to choose your sovereignty. Nobody has authority over you. Nobody gets to decide for you. You get to say, no, we hired these people for services. And then what they did is said, you don't have to do anything. Just allow us to create the services. You just sit back. We got you. And in the moment that we became dependent on the services, they tried to control us through them. They don't get to do that. They try to control our truth through them. They say, I only take one form of payment, money. Why? Because they can create scarcity. Because if they only take one form of payment and there's only a limited amount of that form of payment, that means somebody doesn't get something. And you're trying to make sure it's not you. But the thing that they're giving you, money, that's not backed by anything. And so they're creating the illusion that they're giving you energy back in return when you go and you work for them for a 9 to 5. They're giving you a debt instrument that does not carry any weight. And so they're not giving you anything of value back, which means there's an imbalance in the sacred exchange. And because they created this scarcity mindset and they created this environment that's constantly reconfirming to you that you need them, reconfirming to you that if you choose against them, you will be starved. People will turn their back on you. You'll be homeless and dirty without food and able to take care of yourself. Because they keep threatening you with that, they get you right back into the loop. They've had you tie your worth to whether or not you have this one resource that they claim is not infinite. But there are other ways to exchange energy. We got to take our fucking power back from people who wish to control us and control our truth instead of allowing us to discover it for ourselves. Because anytime somebody discovers their truth, what happens? They take them out. Anytime a scientist actually gets to the truth and wants to talk about it instead of hide it and hoard it, what happens? They take them out. And they do that shit through magic. They use our spiritual elevated ancestors to do that shit. And we don't even realize that. The same connection they have with your ancestors that they doing witchcraft with, you have that. You don't need no fucking intermediary. You need to come pure of heart. You need to come in your truth. You need to come understanding that there is no separation between those divine ancestors, those elevated ancestors, and you. You are the divine in this reality. If your elevated ancestors want to move through this reality, they need to borrow energy from you. If you want to move in their reality, you need to borrow energy from them. They rendered you defenseless because they told you that's witchcraft, and now they're using your shit against you. But they don't have the spiritual rank that you do because this is your shit. They don't have the spiritual rank that you do. You can use Earth's elements to restore balance because you are the steward of this place. That's why we were working with the roots. That's why we were working with the spirits. And we paid reverence to them because we understood in order for them to move and create potential in their place, they need us. In order for us to move, we need them. And so you're not begging. You take this Christian mentality into root work, into conjure work, into magic, that you begging or worshiping an entity. You're not worshiping anything. You are giving them an offering for an exchange of energy. And it is a balanced offering. You give them something, energy in the physical, so that they can move through the physical reality. You give them something. It's through your focus, because your focus creates a potential of energy. They can use that potential to pass them through the veil and do what they got to do in the physical. But what happens is sometimes these spirits are impatient, especially spirits who are operating in distortion, dying in distortion. And what will happen is instead of you giving them energy, they just bypass you altogether and hook themselves into your body and look through your body, because we can merge with spirits because we are a spirit in a body. Right now, we are merged with a spirit, our spirit. But because this is a vehicle, because it contains water, the spirit is in the water. Because this is a vehicle, sometimes they try to hijack our body. They try to just attach themselves to us and live through us and siphon our energy instead of consent. They don't have consent to do that. But because you don't have boundaries, and because you're not speaking up, and because you're not saying no with your whole entire being, because you don't acknowledge or recognize your divinity, and that you are the one who has the right to live, you have the right to live. They are killing you through siphoning your energy and burning you out and making you exhausted and disembodying you further and further and further. Say no. Okay? I'm going to teach y'all how to do that. My soul school is named Akara. In September, July, August, September, 2 months, I am opening up registration. Okay? It does come with a little bit of initiation because some of y'all think y'all want to grow, but y'all don't actually want to grow. Okay? That is not based on your worth. You are still worthy if you do not get chosen. Okay? You are still worthy. I need you to be ready, though, to actually do the work. You have to be 25. And the reason why you have to be 25 is because you do not understand and you have not moved through the human part to get to the spiritual part yet. Your spiritual awakening does not happen until 25. Okay? Everything has a natural cycle. I'm trying to honor that. The space that I'm opening up is only for women. Okay? It's only for women. But the reason being is because we are the higher self. If we fix ourselves, we can go out to the community. Because again, this reality is a feminine reality. Earth is feminine. I don't think that men naturally existed here. I think that we did. We are the stewards of this reality. But now that we birth children, by proxy, they are also stewards. Okay? We have a different function than men. We have a different function than men. We stand at the gate, we guard the gate. And so if we as women get it together, they have no other choice because our resonance will eclipse theirs. They have to come up. We create a vacuum behind us. They have to come up if we come up. Okay? And so we're going to be, through my school, I'm teaching you how to embody your light. The whole first year is about the body, understanding the body. And so the first 3 months, I am teaching you about the body from an elemental standpoint, because you have to understand you are earth in motion. You need to understand what element helps the other element. You need to understand the synchronicity of it all. And then the last 6 months is us doing shadow work and us also learning magic, because you need to be engaging with earth on a consistent basis because you are in earth's waters. You need to understand her. You need to build community with her spirits. Okay? You need to build community with her animals, with her trees. Everything that's here is supposed to be here. You know, minus the, I'm not going to say it again. You know, we've chosen to walk beside the other beings. And so we need balance. But that starts by us embodying our divinity again, because when we embody our divinity again, nothing can come against us. And those spirits that they using against you, your elevated ancestors, and that's why they always cosplaying them, they want to help you, but you are not engaging with them. And so they can't help you. Instead, because they're neutral, right? They have to get their energy some way. Them is the only motherfuckers that's pouring energy into them. But do your elevated ancestors want to work with them? Hell fucking no. They want to work with you. But you have to embody your goddess energy again. And it does not matter if you are a male. Okay? Because you were created from us. That makes you a demigod. We are the goddess. You are the demigod. Okay? You have the goddess energy inside of you. You have to wake it up. Otherwise, you'll keep moving in distortion and you'll keep destroying things. You'll keep moving out of death instead of living. We are in this reality to live, not to die. So if you keep creating death spirits because you hate yourself, we keep paying the price for that shit. Because we don't realize that we're all conjurers. We conjure spirits. We create them based off what we focus our attention on. And so if you keep creating death, because death is all you see, we will never get anywhere. Where you focus your attention matters. Okay. And that's what I'm trying to help us to understand. The whole first year of school is about your body. The second year is about other energy around you. You need to understand energy from a mechanical standpoint. You need the information of energy so you can notice it, so you can recognize it. And then you're also going to be developing your gifts, and you're also going to be, well, no, you'll be developing your gifts. Okay. But you still be using, do your own magic, do whatever, but you're developing your psychic gifts. Okay. Third year is mentorship. While you move from your new truth, you will have a mentor for a full year. And during that year, we will be doing collective work together. That is a cycle of 3. 3 years is the program commitment. Okay, 9 months on, 3 months off. During the month, 3 weeks on, 1 week off. So that we are rested and so that we're taking breaks and all of that. So in September, that'll be coming back available. Okay, until then, if you are feeling stuck or if you are younger than 25, I offer consultations and divinations. Okay. The consultation is so I can figure out what you are saying you want, and also so I can kind of be nosy and read your energy. Okay. Listen, I'm a medium. I have to see what's there. And then I do a divination with spirit to see what the actual problem is. What are the wounds that are standing in your way? What are your immediate challenges? What energy are you leaving behind? What's the potential outcome of your situation if you keep moving in this direction? What advice does spirit have for you? I also channel your ancestors. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of y'all ancestors are pissed, frustrated, because y'all keep choosing against yourselves. And so it's like, why would I keep talking to a hard-headed ass kid? If you're not listening to me, why would I keep showing up for you? I can't show up for you until you show up for yourself. That's what y'all ancestors be saying. And sometimes, I ain't going to lie, since I've been doing consultation and divinations, I've only had 2 scenarios where y'all's ancestors actually said, yes, I can help y'all. And that's crazy to me. Because I can do spell work, I can do spiritual work, you know. But if you want me to do it instead of you to do it, because I'm gonna send you rituals and stuff you can do. But if you want me to do it, it's gonna cost you. It's an energy exchange because you're using my energy, right? But some of y'all ancestors have been so quick to say no to me. Nah, she refuses to change. Nah, she trying to bypass through you because y'all want to do shit through force. If y'all can't do it through what y'all been doing, y'all go to a psychic, y'all go to a medium, and y'all go to a witch, and y'all try to force it to happen. Y'all ancestors are no, and that's why you can't just be doing work for anybody. You need to divine. You need to ask the divine if it is okay. Because if you just do work for people, which is what a lot of these witches are doing, and they about to get their motherfucking karma for that shit, because that y'all bypassing the ancestors. You cannot bypass the person's ancestors. It's disrespectful. We ain't got no fucking respect or reverence for nothing, right? But yeah, y'all ancestors are flat out be like, hell nah. But they'll tell me stuff like she'll be ready in this much time, but they'll tell me not to tell you because then you ain't gonna do shit, you know? But I do consultations and divinations to spiritually diagnose what the fucking issue is. And if I can do something on my side to help you, I will. But a lot of y'all ancestors are fed up, and so they'll say no. I also offer oversoul design readings. If you want to understand yourself from a mental perspective, like your energetic blueprint, understand what your mission is, what character you came here to play, what environments you need to be in, that type of stuff, oversoul design reading. I also do sacred parent codes. That is comparing your energy to your children and telling you where your strengths will be and where your pitfalls will be. And then I do animal communication because I love talking to animals. Animals know more than us. Animals understand things on a spiritual level more than we do. And we out here treating them like the slave, like treating them like they don't matter. They don't. It's so crazy to me. But anywho, services are available on my website, www.bigtajj.com. I'm going to go ahead and hop off because I got a client in about 30 minutes. This will be posted as a podcast episode, and this will be on YouTube as soon as I get off with the podcast episode. I'll probably have it posted in the next 30 minutes. Okay. So if y'all want to go back and listen, y'all can, but I'll be back on here tomorrow at some point because I think I got a client at 12 tomorrow. So I might be on earlier tomorrow, maybe like 10 or something like that. Or I could do it after. I could do it later. But anyways, I'll be on here tomorrow. And so I'll see y'all then. I love y'all. I hope you have an amazing rest of y'all day. I want to go live a little because I have a concert to go to tonight that I'm so fucking excited about. I've manifested this. and spirit. I'm gonna show y'all afterwards because I can't show y'all before I go just because people are crazy. But I'll tell y'all about it tomorrow. I'm super excited though because I've been manifesting this. I've been manifesting this for weeks. I've been manifesting really months. I would say months. I've been manifesting this, and it's so crazy. The seat number, the roll number, the everything, the seat, the roll, the section that I'm in, all of it is like my energy, which is crazy to me. So, anyways, great confirmation. Anyways, we're going to continue this conversation, y'all. I love y'all. Have an amazing rest of y'all day. I will see y'all tomorrow. Alrighty. Bye.